So today we are going to try something that I've never done before: infrared photography. The sun is shining, which is the perfect weather for this. So one of the main differences of infrared photography, comparing it to normal, is that infrared photography, as the name suggests, only captures the infrared spectrum of light instead of capturing the full visible spectrum. What this means is that everything that's outside of the infrared spectrum is being filtered out. I think it's a quite nice place to start off. We are here in Messer Holland. So there are two ways to actually do this. One way is to buy a specific type of filter. We call it an IR filter. So it looks like this. So this is an IR filter. It's an R72 filter. So that means it's filtering out everything other than 720 nanometers and only letting light that are on that particular spectrum to pass through the lens. So as you can see, this is quite black. It's sort of like an ND1000 filter. Another way is to convert your full spectrum sensor, send it to a shop, and they will try to convert the sensor, because like every single CMOS sensor that I know of, they put an IR filter on top of that sensor itself, because typical CMOS sensor is actually quite more sensitive than people notice. And yeah, but those are like sort of like a permanent fix instead of this one. This one is much more of a flexible, because you can just put on and put off the filter on top of your camera. I might have done a mistake. It's a good idea, okay, when you're trying to put your filter on top of your camera, it's a good idea to, because like this is very dark, so sometimes cameras find it really difficult to do autofocus. So a good rule of thumb is to focus before you put a filter on. So then you can just like set it to manual and let it stay there, and then you put your filter on. So, but I did the other way around because I'm an idiot. Okay, now that we have really good, let's try to find a really good composition in this area. So I've set my aperture to like f7.1, ISO to 100, and my shutter speed to automatic, so the camera will figure out itself. And also make sure to also like put a timer on, so like you remove all the jitters, because you're going to take like a long exposure of the image of a full spectrum. And when everything is clear, we are going to press. Okay, so we're done with the first location. I'm going to try to look for another vantage point. This particular, because I like the way this place looks actually. I think like this particular area is quite nice, and that one is quite nice as well. So I think like if we could get a medium shot and also a wide shot. Yo, how's everything? Still at this second vantage point, trying to fix some settings, making sure everything's in focus. Okay, now we are at the final vantage point, trying to capture this scene again before we move on. Still a few hours to go before sunset, but we are losing light really quickly when shooting like this. Really nice. And so we are done with the shooting, and now we are going back home, and let's try to post-process this and see what we've got. Okay, now that we're back home again, we are going to try to process the infrared image that we just captured. And the first thing we do is obviously the basic. You have to transfer all your images onto the computer. I'm going to transfer them into Lightroom CC because I like Lightroom CC more than I like Lightroom Classic. But the same steps all the way, it's probably the same. And when you first encountered your image, what you're going to see is that the image is quite red in color. So what you're going to do is trying to change the white balance into an accurate representation of the infrared image. So how to do this is, first you have to load in a custom profile into Lightroom itself. Now where you can get this custom profile is either you can do it yourself, or on the description below, where you can download a custom Lightroom profile for your infrared image. If you're using an infrared filter, it is highly dependent on what kind of camera you're using, but it's mostly the same. So just go to browse profile. I already download the profile myself and already implement into Lightroom itself. Okay, now you can see okay, now the profile is a bit different, and then we can change the white balance on the screen itself. So you just grab your white balance selection tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose any white foliage, and then you can see we get a much more accurate representation of what we're trying to do. So that's the first step, and then you can adjust your light prefixes, your exposure highlights, and all your how you like your image to be. Okay, so and then we are going to open this into Photoshop. Okay, now we are open into it. So what we're going to first do is first we open up a channel mixer. So right now what we're going to adjust is this particular image. Like we have the red output channel, we're going to adjust red into 0, and then the blue into 100, and then do the opposite for the blue output channel. So now what we have here are a much better representation of what we're trying to achieve here. So the first thing I'm going to adjust is the reds and yellows. These are usually the normal steps. Now you're trying to get contrasty, and finally we're just going to do it's going to save these images. Just click OK, and what that will do is build another file inside your and then I'm going to just work more on these images and see like what I can do more towards this image, and then I'm going to post the final image here.